Godspeed.
Ahoy, all of you flick freaks out there, what is going on? My name is Andrew, and we're going to continue on with the top 100 movies of all time. A disclaimer before every single one of these videos. Keep in mind, this is in no way a representation of any top 100 critically acclaimed movies of all time. This is my personal top 100 favorite movies of all time. So you may see movies on here that you think are too high, too low, shouldn't be on the list at all, or think of ones that I forgot. Bear in mind, this is not in any way a reflection of your ideas. These are my personal top 100. Having said all that, I think it's time to move on to number 30. Coming in at number 30, we have Frank Darabont's film, The Shawshank Redemption. Based on the Stephen King novella, this movie is actually rated number 1 on IMDb's top 250 movies of all time. It's about Tim Robbins, a man who is wrongfully accused of murdering his wife and her lover, so he is sent to the infamous Shawshank prison, where he meets up with Morgan Freeman and creates this close bond and friendship, and he tries to survive during this horrible time, during a time when the guards of the prison and the warden brutally beat the prisoners, and just the life that you see that these guys put themselves through and how they find care and love for each other in this horrible place is absolutely fascinating. And then of course it has one of the most infamous endings of any movie. And if you have never seen the movie, which I don't know who hasn't seen Shawshank Redemption, if you don't know the ending of that movie, it will blow your mind. And of course it's Stephen King, so you know it's going to be incredible. He's the greatest writer of all time. Having said all that, let's move on now to number 29. Coming in at number 29, we have the 1976 film Rocky, starring Sylvester Stallone and Carl Weathers. The movie is fascinating. Not only the movie itself, but the trivia surrounding it is absolutely fascinating. The movie was only made for $1.1 million, which to think of now would be a low-budget indie film. And the fact that the movie was only made in 28 days. And then this movie went on to win Best Picture and get Sylvester Stallone 2 Oscar nominations. That's not an easy feat. It is hands down the most infamous, and I'll say it right now, it's the best boxing movie of all time. Some people would say Raging Bull is the best boxing movie, but no, nothing stands the test of time that Rocky does. And the movie actually got Sylvester Stallone into the Boxing Hall of Fame just for what he did for the sport of boxing. The most infamous story of an underdog going on to do amazing things, like having 14,000 sequels. And you know what? I like a lot of the sequels. The ones with Ivan Drago, Mr. T, and I actually met Tommy Morrison, the guy who was in Rocky V, even though that was the worst of all the Rocky sequels. But no, I love Rocky and I love the sequels, but nothing will ever beat the first Rocky movie. Now let's move on to number 28. Coming in at number 28, we have the film Braveheart, directed and starring everyone's favorite anti-Semite, Mel Gibson. The movie is so fucking good. I'm not talking just from an action standpoint. We all know that there's a lot of great fight scenes in this movie, great huge battles that everybody just loves, and of course the war paint that everybody always has. You can always find at least one person during Halloween who goes as William Wallace. Besides all that, there's an amazing story here, and it's a true romance story, and it's one of the first movies I can remember where I actually had my heart broken for the love loss that was in this movie. And the love between the two characters in the very beginning is very short. Spoiler warning, but the movie goes on just to be a great revenge flick. And a lot of people don't think of Braveheart as a revenge flick, but it actually starts out that way, and then it becomes something more. It becomes a freedom for an entire people. And that's what makes this movie so great. Having said all that, let's move on now to number 27. Coming in at number 27, we have the 2000 film Gladiator, directed by Ridley Scott and starring Russell Crowe, Djimon Hounsou, and Joaquin Phoenix. There's a lot of comparisons people make between this film and Braveheart because they kind of have the same tone to them. A man who tries to become something greater than himself and to inspire an entire group of people. But of course, this one is set in Italy. And of course, there are no big, like there's nobody does like an Italian accent or anything like that. But you know what? I think that the performances in this movie are spectacular. And something really interesting that happened in this movie, which I didn't know until like many, many years later. Oliver Reed, the gentleman who plays Proximo in this movie, he died halfway through filming. So instead of getting another actor to portray him, they spent more money on CGI, like recreating his face. And you know what? I didn't know. I totally didn't know that half of the scenes that he did, he wasn't even there for. That was all CGI, which I thought that was fascinating bit of trivia. But the performances in this movie are amazing, especially Joaquin Phoenix, he does an amazing job as the villain in this movie. You kind of see why he turns out the way he does. It's just he's a product of his upbringing and like the spoils of being wealthy, but at the same time not being able to receive what he really wants, and that's the love and respect of his father. And that drives him to be this insane Caesar of Greece or of Italy. And just an incredible movie. Everybody needs to check out Gladiator if you've never seen it. Everybody's seen Gladiator, right? Yeah. Okay. Now let's move on to number 26. Coming in at number 26, we have the 2003 film The Last Samurai, starring Ken Watanabe and Tom Cruise. This movie is directed by Edward Zwick, who gave us movies like Blood Diamond and Pawn Sacrifice. Brilliant director, and it's an amazing story. The best performance, hands down, in this movie goes to Ken Watanabe, who gives probably one of the best performances I've ever seen in a movie. You are just so inspired and in awe of this character that you really believe that it's not Ken Watanabe on the screen. That is really who the character, he became that character, and you just can't help but be inspired by him and what he believes in. And surprisingly, a lot of people shit on Tom Cruise. They don't really like him. I think Tom Cruise is actually a really good actor, and he definitely proves it in this movie. I think that his performance was phenomenal, if not one of his best. And the thing that really gets you in this movie is Hans Zimmer's score. The man is brilliant when it comes to scoring films, and this film is by far no exception. One of the most beautifully scored movies of all time, and just the scenery and the cinematography, just the beautiful landscape that you see in Japan in this, you really want to dive into the culture and learn as much as you can. And that's not what the movie's about, but that's what the movie does for you. The story of this, a lot of people think that it's just a knockoff of like Dances with Wolves, or what we kind of saw in Avatar, even though Avatar came out later. But it kind of has the same story plot line of a man despising his own culture. He gets wrapped up in the culture of a faraway land, and then he wants to be immersed in that culture and to protect that culture. And I think that this movie does an amazing job of that. A lot of people, they see this movie and they just see a knockoff of Dances with Wolves, but I see so much more in this movie, and I think a lot of other people should too. Having said all that, let's move on now to number 25. Coming in at number 25, we have the 2003 film Shaun of the Dead by Edgar Wright, written and directed. The movie stars Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. This is hands down for me personally, the greatest zombie movie of all time. It's funny, it's gory, and sometimes it's even heartbreaking. I'm not going to spoil why it's heartbreaking in some parts, but if you've seen the movie, you will know what I'm talking about. The chemistry that Nick Frost and Simon Pegg have together is like the most infamous and like in recent comedy history. Like, these guys together are fascinating and brilliant. This movie is the first in the Cornetto trilogy, as it's known. The other movies would be The World's End and Hot Fuzz. Both of those movies are brilliant, but this is the first movie, and I love it so much. One of my highest rated comedies on this list. Not the highest rated comedy, you'll have to find out what that one is later on down the list. But this one definitely deserves a spot on my list, and it should deserve a spot on your list. If you've never seen Shaun of the Dead, it is a cult classic everybody needs to go and see. You will laugh your ass off, I guarantee it. Having said all that, let's move on now to number 24. Coming in at number 24 on this list, we have the Indiana Jones trilogy. That's right, the trilogy. I don't count Raiders of the Lost Ark as a movie. It was just a bad fever dream. I know it was. It's not a real movie. So yeah, I'm actually combining all three movies of the trilogy into one for this, so I don't take up room for other movies to be on this list. I know you're wondering which of my three is the favorite, and that would be The Last Crusade. And then it would be Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then Temple of Doom. I actually do like Temple of Doom. I think it's a great movie. A lot of people don't. It's a lot different than the other movies. The other two movies are more biblical, whereas this one is kind of delved into Hinduism and dark magic and stuff like that, which was weird, but I can get behind it. It was a good movie. But no, The Last Crusade, the one with Sean Connery, is brilliant. And the fact that Steven Spielberg and George Lucas created one of the most iconic characters of all time, that's just something in itself. Whenever you show a picture of Harrison Ford to somebody, there's a good chance they're going to say, hey, look, it's Han Solo. But I think there's an even better chance people will go, that's Indiana Jones. So that's why this movie is going to stand the test of time forever. They cannot ruin it no matter how hard they try. These movies are brilliant. Having said all that, let's move on now to number 23. Coming in at number 23, we have the 2003 film Finding Nemo. This movie stars Albert Brooks and Ellen DeGeneres. It's directed by Andrew Stanton, and in case you're wondering, yes, this is hands down my favorite Disney movie of all time. Finding Nemo is the perfect animated film. It's absolutely perfect. And it's really weird because a lot of you know who watch this, I am terrified of the ocean, and I'm absolutely terrified of sharks. One of the reasons why I live in Missouri, I'm landlocked, I can't be got, they can't get me. But the movie is funny, it's sad, it's like adventurous, it's thrilling, it's perfect. It has every single thing that a movie needs to be perfect, and they knock it perfect. I love Ellen DeGeneres. Her character, Dory, is just one of the funniest things I've ever seen in a Disney movie. And the fact that Finding Dory, the sequel to this, comes out next year, I cannot wait. I am so stoked for this. I don't know how many times I saw this movie in theaters. And when it was re-released in theaters for the 3D reviewing, I was totally there to see it then as well. This will always be, I can't see any movie ever topping for me Finding Nemo as the best Disney movie. But hey, who knows? It could be somewhere down the line. Having said all that, let's move on now to number 22. Coming in at number 22, we have the 2012 film Disconnect. This movie stars Jason Bateman, Michael Nyqvist, and Alexander Skarsgård. Not a lot of people have seen this movie. It is a very, very hidden movie, and I don't know why, because I've personally found this movie to be absolutely brilliant. I actually gave this movie, whenever I reviewed it, one of the very few movies I gave a 10 out of 10. I don't give those out lightly, and this movie, I think, definitely deserved it. So if you've never seen this movie, you definitely need to go and check it out, because it definitely opens up some eyes to people on how we perceive the internet and how people connect with each other over the internet, and the consequences of being so open over the internet. Something I should have known before I made a fucking YouTube channel. But the movie is beyond shocking. It's just a tragic movie. Just the horrible things that people find themselves in with cybercrime, internet bullying, and how people perceive like pornography on the internet, and how people like how they do like web chats and stuff like that. It's really eye-opening, and it's really shocking. But it's absolutely a fascinating movie, and the performances in this movie are amazing. Especially Jason Bateman, who really surprised me, because I always see him as a comedic actor. But you know what they say, if you can do comedy, you can do drama, and he definitely proves in this movie. His performance is astounding. Having said all that, I think it's time to move on now to the last movie on this week's list, number 21. So coming in at number 21 and finishing off this week's list, we have the 2014 Alejandro González Iñárritu's film Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. This movie stars Michael Keaton, Emma Stone, Naomi Watts, Naomi Watts, and Edward Norton and Zach Galifianakis. The movie is incredible. Another movie that I gave a 10 out of 10. Like I said, I don't give those out lightly. I don't know how many of those I've given out, but it's not many. It's not like I hand out 10 out of 10s left and right. No, it's something, if the movie is not perfect, I don't hand them out. And this movie is perfect. The performances are perfect. The story is perfect. The cinematography is perfect. And that is really what takes the cake in this movie. The way they filmed this movie is fascinating. It's over 2 hours long, and the movie is all one shot. It's presented to you as one shot, I should say. There's times where it cuts around a dark corner and you can see that's where they started the next scene, but it's really all presented as one long shot through the entire film. Michael Keaton really showed the world that his acting chops are still there. He gave an amazing performance. Also, Edward Norton blew away many audiences with how amazing his performance was in this movie. And then you have Emma Stone and Naomi Watts blowing it away too. I mean, there's not a single bad performance in the movie. Even Zach Galifianakis was incredible. And the story is about this former comic book action hero, which, played by Michael Keaton. As a former Batman, he was perfectly cast in this movie. He wants to take his favorite story from his childhood to Broadway, and everybody's knocking him, saying, there's no way you can be a Broadway actor. You're a sci-fi comic action hero guy. You're not a real actor. So everybody's knocking on him for this. He's like, but this is something I love. This is something I've wanted to do forever. Have some faith in me. You haven't even seen it yet. And the movie it's perfect. Like I said, if you've not seen Birdman, you definitely need to go and see it. There's a reason why it won Best Picture last year. There's a few other movies that could be contested to win Best Picture, but that's for another day and time. Birdman is amazing. Everybody should go and see it. And that's going to wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen, for this week's list. Thank you so much to everybody for watching this list. Hopefully you agreed with most of the things that are on my list so far. We only have 2 more weeks, numbers 20 through 11, and then the top 10 after that. So 2 more weeks, and then we will be done with the top 100 list of movies. And then we'll move on to our next list after that. Thank you so much for watching. If you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button over there. And if you click up in the top right corner, you'll see a little card that will take you over to the Game Geeks channel, where you get to see our Fallout 4 Let's Play coming out next week. And the other card will take you over to the Flick Freak store, where if you want to buy t-shirts, coffee mugs, phone or tablet cases, you can find all of that over there. Last thing I'll mention, Patreon campaign. Every single dollar put into the Patreon campaign will get put directly back into the channel to make it better, because we're all going to make the channel better together. Don't forget, we're trying to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so help make that a reality. And I will say to you, thank you for watching, and Godspeed to 10,000 subscribers.
We're kind of funny, and this video is over.
God.